I don't see you though.
Oh yeah, because I got the overlay on. Welcome back to Futuretech, your weekly source in the latest tech in innovation and business. I'm the startup coach, and with me, as always, is John Irwin. I'm gonna get this overlay removed, but what's going on with you, John?
Not much. Had a great time last night at Startup Drinks TO. A lot of people came out. I think we had what 76.
Yeah, that's what my business partner was telling me.
Yeah. We had a lot of people came out. Shout out to Emma from AIMD who came out, and Danielle from the Firehood.
Yeah, Dan,
Love to see those two out.
it's great to see them. There was apparently a good women's entrepreneur and investors event last night, so they slipped into our event after. Danielle usually comes. We've been around for a long time, and we had Alex from Antler VC and a few others out. It was a good time.
Yeah, and shout out to Dotjock who won the pitch competition. My
Oh yes,
co-founder. Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, from Lighton. So yeah, it's a great event. But great day today, looking like sunny, high of 10. So I'll be your meteorologist for the rest of the podcast. But yeah, you
Let's
want to
jump right
dive in?
into it.
Or?
Yeah, let's jump into this new silicon battery.
Yeah. So first, a caveat, just so you guys know, I'm a big proponent of hydrogen, but I've got to disseminate some cool tech, and Craig and I have to disseminate cool tech advancements in all fields, and you'll see that today. So again, out of Asia, researchers in South Korea, they've discovered a promising new method to significantly increase the range of electric vehicles that is actually commercially viable. So silicon, as you all know, it's been considered a good potential material for a lot of things, but in lithium batteries, it's been considered is because of its high energy density. But the problem is silicon's tendency to expand while charging has made it difficult to incorporate it into commercial cells. So what the team did was they took this novel approach and they used micron-sized silicon particles rather than nanoparticles, which makes the silicon easier and cheaper to produce while still providing a good energy capacity. But what they did to address the expansion issue was they embedded the silicon microparticles in a deformable polymer gel electrolyte. Also, they chemically bonded the silicon to the gel using electron beam radiation. So, for those of you who are like, what the hell is an electrolyte? Well, an electrolyte is the medium that allows the ions to flow between the anode and the cathode of a battery during charging and discharging. In a lithium ion battery, the electrolyte typically contains lithium salt dissolved in an organic solvent, which allows the lithium ions to flow freely. However, liquid electrolytes, as we all know from horror stories, they can be volatile and flammable. So a gel polymer electrolyte uses a polymer gel to encapsulate the liquid electrolyte. And the gel, it helps to immobilize the liquid electrolyte and while still allowing ion flow. It adds mechanical stability, and safety advantages over liquids. So that's essentially the deformable gel electrolyte is like this is a key innovation for the silicon anode, which allows it to flexibly perform without mechanical failures or compromising cycle life or safety, which is cool. So furthermore, back to this article, the bonding action helped stabilize the structure while accommodating any size changing during charging. So it allowed them to avoid issues that they previously ran into with silicon anodes. The test that they did in the new silicon gel composite performed on par with typical lithium ion batteries. But the cool thing, and this is the innovation here, is they saw a 40% improvement in energy density, which means that it could enable an EV driving range of up to 1,000 kilometers on one charge. And I know there are some vehicles out there that are touting 1,000 kilometers. I think the Hummer is touting close to that. But when we're talking energy density, that means less battery, more range, if that makes sense. So lighter. You won't be using up tires every year on EVs like most people do, although you might still because of the torque. But anyways, so they believe the cool thing about this, and this is why this one is really cool. Like I know we talk about technology that's 5-10 years away. This is actually a lot closer because it can be easily, readily commercialized since it uses inexpensive and scalable materials. And apparently it's a straightforward fabrication process. So huge step forward for EVs. Again, I'll have to add this in. It still uses lithium ion or lithium, which is a rare earth metal with there's a whole bunch of things behind that. So yeah, if it's implemented successfully in full vehicle batteries, it could vastly accelerate the adoption of electric transportation globally. So really, really cool stuff.
Yeah, so I'm just throwing up a picture of some of the batteries at the warehouse when they're putting them.
Okay.
People don't realize the size you were mentioning.
Yeah, so for those of you that have never seen the inside of an EV cell or those big battery banks, you would think, and this is what I thought before I saw the inside. You would think it's some sort of innovative battery design, but no, it's a bunch of AAA or AA looking cells that are just all linked together, which is absolutely nuts to me. I don't know. What about you? What do you think about that, Craig? Like that's just like, did you think that it was like a new kind of design?
Well, originally, yeah, but then when you hear about it, it's just a bunch of these little batteries, serialized together.
Yeah. So you could go to the grocery store or whatever, buy a crap load of AA batteries and create your own battery bank.
Absolutely, that's it. You could, and it'd be
Yeah.
interesting if you could do a better job. But yeah,
Obviously.
that's it. People think this is astounding breakthrough technology when it really isn't.
Not. No, it's
Throw a
not.
bunch of
It's not like
rechargeable batteries in, away you go.
yeah, exactly. They should make a hole for each one so you can pull it out and replace it. But anyways, so cool technology, cool advancement, really promising to be honest. So I'm surprised at this one. So this one, and you and I have talked about other EV battery technology in the past. That is years away. This is much, much closer. Like this could be commercially viable in the next year or two, even.
Yeah, I'm always excited about new battery technology, and just to leverage off your one point there, it'd be nice to be able to pull individual ones out there. It'd be like Christmas tree trying to hunt for the bad battery in your EV to get the whole thing to work.
Yeah, and the cost to replace those packs, whatever they're called, battery packs, it's like 50 grand.
Yeah, it's usually 70% of the car value of the car or something like that. Like this is one of the reasons why there's no secondhand market for EVs is that who wants to buy, a 5-year-old battery pack that is gonna because who knows what you're gonna get out of it, right?
Yeah. Speaking of which, of cost of cars, just quickly, I was watching a TikTok video this morning. I don't know if you remember Fisker. They came out with an awesome EV car, looked amazing, had a solar panel sunroof, super expensive, and they had some issues, but they just came out with it's called Pear, which is supposed to be a sub $30,000 EV, but with a range of like 300 miles, which is good for the price. And if you looked at the video, it shows it's a beautiful looking car. It's got the solar panel sunroof that's retractable. Really cool. Anyways, we digress. But
Fisker makes designs good cars. He's one of the last few people who can design a really good looking car.
Yeah, and even this Pear, even though it's a lower price vehicle, it follows in the Fisker brand. So like the Fisker Karma.
So I won't say we're down on EVs. We just think that EVs are a stopgap, and we can't, honestly, we don't think it's a sustainable solution to switch everybody to 100% EVs. We're not down on EVs. It's just that if you turn to it tomorrow, we don't have, our grid can't handle it, not enough charging stations. There's all these things. The environmental impact of the lithium ion creation is a 10-year impact. all these things.
Yeah.
And we're talking, thinking that hydrogen is a longer term solution.
It is.
We're
Yeah.
kind of all in on that. But here in Canada, let's face it, we have different issues than a lot of people, a lot of other places like California, where they're warm all the time. It's negative 15 one day, -5 the next day, 10 degrees the next day, and batteries don't last as long in the cold. Is there any situation, or did you see anything on this on cold and temperatures affecting this type of
I
battery?
didn't, but silicon, I think, is less affected, and I could be wrong. I guess I'm not an expert. I think it's less affected by um, range of temperatures. Um, but no, they didn't say anything about this in the article. But again, if you have a higher energy density battery, which you're going to get longer range, even if you lose some range, it's going to be less of an impact than the current batteries, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So it absolutely makes sense. I'm just concerned. Like, it's always my big concern is every year we have a huge traffic jam on the 400 or between here and London, where people are stuck in minus whatever degrees snowstorm for hours and hours. And would never want to be that in an EV.
Yeah, exactly. I think the EVs, the way that they produce heat, because I know in the past, like heat is produced using excess heat from the ICE engines, but I think they have a heat pump in these, right?
Yeah, usually they do.
Yeah.
So what are the limitations? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So no. So I just did a quick search about silicon, just to kind of talk about it just quickly. So if you have well-distributed silicon microparticles within the gel, it says, based on what I'm reading, is it can help minimize cold-related problems like dendrite formation and localized temperature variations within the cell. So obviously, as they're developing it, they're going to be testing that, but it'll be interesting. So yes, I guess just to reiterate, I was accurate that it will have an impact, and it'll help to reduce that impact from the cold. Sorry.
Yeah, the reason I ask these kinds of things is because, one, practicality of living in Canada, and two,
Yeah.
we're exploring space, we're doing all these things, we have these batteries and all the, like, what temperatures can we handle and can't handle. It makes a big difference on what we can do from an exploration point of view. So it's always interesting. What are some of the challenges or limitations when implementing this, like, for mass rollout?
For sure. Yeah. So scale up is a big thing. So obviously they got to validate the performance, the stability, manufacturing feasibility at a large commercial scale for these vehicle batteries, rather just what they have right now is laboratory cells. So upscaling introduces some new complexities, cost. So although silicon is abundant, the multi-step synthesis and bonding process, it could potentially drive up costs comparing to existing graphite anodes. So the cost needs to be controlled, obviously, and minimized, or the excess cost needs to be minimized. There still is some safety concerns because the gel electrolyte is meant to accommodate expansion, but stresses during fast charging or extreme conditions could potentially lead to failure. Again, so they need more testing. Cycle life, so batteries, obviously, they need longevity over many charge and discharge cycles. So this is a newer developed technology, although it does see some promise. They're going to have to do some more testing. So performance consistencies, again, talking back to temperature. So factors like temperature and charge rates always can impact batteries. And so there's going to have to be more testing on that. There's also supply chain always and regulations. So because you're adding new chemicals or a new chemical structure or a new structure to this battery, there's going to be new regulations that are needed, which, again, not a huge challenge, but I think the scale up, safety, cycle life, like there has to be more testing.
What you mentioned, performance. What is the energy density compared to regular batteries or what we experience now?
Yeah. So lithium ion batteries have an energy density, I think, around 250 watt hours per kilogram. So the silicon gel composite, if we take 40% of that, or if we add 40% to that, you're looking at about 350 watt hours per kilogram. And if we compare that with, I don't know if we talked about lithium sulfur batteries, but they're theoretical. They're not developed, just FYI.
Yeah.
But lithium sulfur batteries, I think they have a theoretical energy density of 500 kilowatt hours per kilogram. And then if we get into even more theoretical energy, lithium air batteries could reach as high as 1100 watt hours per kilogram. Sorry, I think I said 500 kilowatt hours. It's only 500 watt hours. I can't remember if I said that right, but then going back to kind of ones that we might understand a little bit more, lead acid batteries, which are batteries that they're used for starting vehicles, the ones in your car and things like that. They have an energy density of around 30 to 50 watt hours per kilogram. So silicon gel composite, it does provide a significant boost. It's not a huge boost, right? 40% is still good. The biggest thing is that this is an actual viable potential battery technology that's closer than say lithium air or lithium sulfur.
And we talked about before sulfur selenium batteries is ones we were talking about before, not
Sulfur
sulfur
selenium,
lithium.
that's it, yeah. And I can't remember what the energy density of those were, or theoretical.
So what are the challenges of sticking these kind of batteries or into automobile?
So yeah, so getting back and just kind of reiterating what I was talking about. So uniformity at scale. So what you need to do is you need to ensure that as you create these larger batteries, you need to ensure that there's even particle distribution and bonding across the large electrode surfaces at high production volume. So although lithium ion's been around for years, it's been proven, this is new. So you have to make sure that it's uniform, because if you have non-uniformity, it could cause hotspots. So I don't know why I went up at the end of that sentence, but yeah, it could cause hotspots. Cell design. So adapting existing battery pack and module designs, or you may have to even develop new architectures that are optimized for these materials. We don't know that yet. The other thing is thermal management at scale. So dissipating heat generated during fast charging needs to be safely managed and tested and all that sort of stuff. And then back to the manufacturing process. So in order for this to be viable, you need to enable, or you need to establish a robust, high volume, compliant manufacturing for the multi-step synthesis process and scaling of the composite. So again, yeah, pack assembly. And these are challenges that they're not new challenges, but they present unique challenges that have not yet been looked at because they're still testing it. But it'll get through the testing, I believe, much quicker, unless they run into a huge issue that they didn't anticipate or something.
So we have a question here. Where else can we use this technology besides EVs? So where are we going to see this being implemented?
Yeah. So the one that comes to mind right away is airplanes, because you need to make sure that obviously weight versus energy density and all that sort of stuff. So a more energy dense, lighter battery this could potentially enable more viable airplanes that run purely on battery power, as opposed to gas but again, hydrogen is getting there too for airplanes. But again, we could use it. We could even use it in our cell phones. If we're getting 40% more out of our cell phones with the same battery size. Like if you look at cell phone battery sizes, they've barely gone up over the last 5 years, very little. So by implementing this technology, they could still keep the batteries the same size, and we could get a much longer life out of them, out of one charge.
So down to the question that always comes to the crunch of, when are we going to see these commercially available?
Yeah. So I know I said 1 to 2 years, but that's me being like really ambitious. So the thing is there's a lot of things that come into play. So the technology itself could be proven to be scalable within 2 to 3 years. Then obviously they have to demonstrate the technology in EV battery packs. So let's say 5 years. Then they have to partner with auto manufacturers for the technology transfer. So we're talking maybe 7 to 10 years, and then mass production 10 plus years. But I don't know. That was just after doing some research and things like that. Uh, it could be quicker. That does seem like a long time frame based on a technology that is pretty easily adaptable and easily potentially produced. I think if all tests go well and everything goes smoothly without too many hiccups, I think we could see that time in half. But again, I'm no expert. I'm just going off what I'm reading.
So this is exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing when we're going to get these.
Yeah.
And is there any final words before we jump on to our next topic?
No, I again just for those of you who are well hitting puberty. Those of you who are big proponents of EVs, would love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to follow up with us on this. So I know Craig and I are at least we're big proponents of hydrogen technology because it has a huge reduced impact on the environment. Whereas if you guys looking at like at the end of the day, this battery still uses lithium. So unless they come up with a new technology that doesn't use a rare earth metal, there's still going to be a huge impact on the environment. So, but still, really cool technology.
All right, so let's jump into this next one, which is interesting. And I've got a few questions myself. Shrimp leather.
Yeah. So this is cool. I didn't get to do a huge deep dive into this, but let's dive into this together. So this is cool. So this is about this article talks about a Brooklyn startup called I think it's Tomtex. I don't know because of that little hat on top of the O, but Tomtex we'll go with. They've developed a groundbreaking new material from discarded shrimp cells. Oh God, seashells by the seashore. We got this one going. Seafood is a huge industry, as you all know. But what it does is it produces massive amounts of waste in the forms of shells, bones, and other byproducts. So typically, the waste is thrown out. But Tomtex founder Win Tran, he's discovered a way to transform these shells into a strong, flexible material that can essentially mimic leather. It can also mimic suede and potentially other fabrics commonly used in the fashion industries and furnishings. So even better, the cool thing about Tomtex, the process itself, it produces this biomaterial without any plastics, which is awesome because it means the end products are fully and natural and biodegradable. So again, you're seeing this trend with consumers demanding more eco-friendly options. A lot of times the eco-friendly options are more you can tell that the quality isn't there. You can tell that it's eco-friendly. So this does seem promising. So it puts them in a unique position to offer potentially a sustainable alternative to leather. So actually and what's cool about this is there are some people behind them. So Tomtex they recently secured 4.15 million in funding, which will allow them to ramp up commercial production and begin taking orders to supply their shrimp shell textiles to other companies, which is cool. So as the push towards circular business model grows, which is Tomtex is exactly it, upcycling ocean waste like shrimp shells into high value materials, it represents an exciting new model. The question is what is the fashion industry? How are they going to react to this, right?
Yeah, it definitely interesting. They've raised some money here. I pulled up their website, so we're looking at some pictures of their leather right now. And I'll continue to do that as we're chatting, just to browse through so we can show our viewers what's going on here. We have before we get into it, I had some questions, but we did have a question come in, which a question I had is, okay, does it smell? And I read something where it says it goes through some chemical process and whatnot
Yes.
to minimize any, unpleasant odor. I don't know what does that mean?
Well, I'm guessing they're thinking, does it smell fishy?
Yeah, well, no, I know that, but I'm question
Oh,
when I read about it, I was saying that they go through this process to minimize any unpleasant odors. But what does that
no.
mean? Does that mean if I wear this out on a hot day and it's gonna smell, or is it not gonna smell?
I guess time will tell. So yeah, I read that too. So on a molecular level, what they were saying is the team uses biological and chemical processes to break down the shells. So it's just breaking down the shells into a flexible leather-like biomass. Um, so although it does retain the properties of strength, it does become moldable. But again, my assumption is using chemicals and processes. I'm guessing especially if it's breaking it down, it will potentially eliminate the smell, but I'm not sure. We'll have to find out more about that for sure.
Definitely. I mean, like what where this is going, and we're seeing some pictures, stuff as I'm posting here, different types of stuff, and some of it looks really good.
Yeah, yeah,
So
it looks legit. It looks high quality. Um, I'm curious to see how it feels. That's my biggest thing. How does it feel?
yeah, can you explain how they do this process?
Yeah, so after I did some research into it. So what they do is they start with sourcing discarded shells, Jesus, from processing facilities around the world. So again, for those that don't know, shells are a waste product from peeling shrimp for food production. So not just they're not sourcing it from your house where you'll have a shrimp ring at night with your family and in that, but we're talking mass food production here. So then the way they prepare it is the shells are first cleaned and then dried, which removes any remaining meat or debris from the attached shells. And then the breakdown, which is what we were just talking about, they're put through a proprietary biological and chemical breakdown process. So enzymes and other agents are used to help break the shells down into their basic protein and chitin components. And then, as the shells break down, the materials recombine, and that's where you start the process here. It gets into a smooth, flexible biomass, which again they're describing as not unlike raw leather in texture. So at this stage, it can be dyed, imprinted, or texturized. Then from there, they mold it. So they use heat and pressure that are applied to further set the material structure and shape it as desired, which develops creases and strength similar to cured leather. And then we get into the fabrication. So from here, the biomass can be cut, and they're calling it biomass because that's what it is, right? It can be cut, sewn, or crafted into a wide range of materials like leather goods, furnishings, or fashion items. And then there's an optional phase, what they were talking about, which includes processing like waterproofing to enhance durability for various applications.
Yeah, I'm just looking at as we're discussing this, they've raised $4.15 million recently.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you know what their valuation is? I didn't see that. I didn't. I wasn't able.
I'll take a look at where while we're discussing
Yeah.
and
Might
see
be
if
on
I
Crunchbase.
yeah, I'm gonna take as we go, I'm looking this stuff up as you're talking to for
Yeah.
questions that we haven't answered yet from these things.
Yeah.
This looks really interesting. Looks like they're building they've got um their approach uses existing food waste rather than a time consuming costly lab growing process, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Um, and the stuff, I don't know. Oh, you can't see what I'm looking at right now. So I don't know if these are. pictures of the product or not. So I hate to.
Yeah, who knows if these are AI generated or if they're actual.
Oh, here we go. Products.
Oh yeah,
Okay, so this is the Tor M series, but does it show us actually any end? Okay.
potentially. But who knows? You know what? Nowadays, you never know if this is an actual photo of someone or AI generated.
Well, you assume because this is Tom
Yeah.
Texas work with Daphne Mark to bring back a look,
Okay.
fashion week look,
Oh, yeah.
that these are from that fashion week, but
That's
you
cool.
can say whatever you want. Um,
I
just
would
curious to
believe
look
so.
at these things to see what it is they look like when you're talking about shrimp leather.
Yeah.
Some of it looks good,
Yeah.
but I haven't seen it really on a
Click on
jacket.
samples. Click on samples. What is sample? Is it to order samples or?
Yeah, you can, or anybody's here, you can go on the Tom Tech site and you can order samples. It doesn't, there's no pictures there. It's just an order form. Oh, here we go.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, it looks good.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing. They haven't produced anything that I think I would wear, but hey, all the better to those. But obviously, it's endless, unlimited possibilities.
Are there other examples of upcycling ocean waste into?
Yeah. So there's a few. So fish leather. So similar to Tomtex, there's some startups that create leather-like materials from fish skins that would otherwise be discarded. There's seaweed bioplastics. So companies extract polymers from seaweeds that can replace petroleum-based plastics, which is awesome. Some are compostable, while others mimic properties of nylon, PETs, etc. Um, there's fish oil supplements, obviously, leftover bones and other byproducts from fish processing. They actually contain omega-3 fatty acids. So, and they're actually accessible oil through if you extract it properly. Then there's fertilizers. So shells and waste fish can be decomposed into nutrients that enrich soil quality. Protein recovery. So there's technologies now that recover proteins from undesirable fish parts and shells to use as sustainable food or feed ingredients. There's some really cool stuff out there that I didn't know until I started doing some research into this.
Yeah, I'm. This is really cool. I love when we can do anything where we're not constantly throwing stuff out. Restaurant waste is a big thing. So when we start looking at seafood and
Yeah.
ocean and pulling this stuff, um, another person has a question here.
Yep.
Is there enough discarded shrimp to really scale? Like, I guess that's also like, I guess there is enough worldwide, but they're not throwing it all in one basket for people to collect, right? So how do you like?
Yeah, and that's what I thought. That's what I was thinking too. So what they would need to do, like I think there is. The short answer is yes. I think there is enough, but they would need to partner directly, and they probably are doing this with large shrimp farmers and processors. Um, they could establish a shell, or they probably are going to establish shell collection facilities near clusters of shrimp operations. So again, more centralized kind of operations. Um, they can incentivize processors by paying them a small fee per ton of shells collected. So, because obviously they're discarding shrimp producers are discarding a lot of the stuff that they would be their goal. One man's garbage is another man's treasure. So by paying them, it could incentivize them. So the other thing too is they're going to have to develop shelf stable storage and transport methods so that they can transport it from these central locations. But I think there's an abundance of shell out there. Now, again, what if so since this is a potentially amazing technology, what about if there's another company that comes up, but another company that comes up? That's the question: is there going to be enough there? But like shrimp is a major industry, especially in Southeast Asia, South America. So they just need to ensure that they partner with the right people.
Yeah, this is always interesting when you do something like this. Is this somebody who takes over because they're the only person doing it for a short period of time, or does everyone jump in and think they can do it? I feel like this might be a little bit like streaming services where one person is successful, then everyone jumps in and says, "Hey, we'll all do it," and then a few years down the road to find out that, oh, maybe that doesn't work.
Yeah.
We got another question come in here. Can we recycle the shrimp leather?
Yeah. So it's a great question. Now, in the article itself, it doesn't explicitly say recycling after use can be done, but based on what I've read, so a couple things. It's being made from natural shells and proteins rather than plastics, so it should fully biodegrade over time if discarded. However, being a company that needs to maximize value and make profit, they would likely design it for multiple life cycles before decomposition. So, although yes, it probably most likely can be recycled, it's like those reusable bags that are supposed, like, again, you would think that they would be recycled, but they're made to be reused multiple times. Some of them are made from biodegradable materials, but those materials are meant to last through chemical processes longer than what you would think. So, but the thing is, the cool thing about this and biodegradable materials is the flexible material could be potentially remolded or reshaped for new applications by being reheated. Any worn or damaged pieces may be able to be ground or blended back into the basic biomass material for reuse. So again, it could be upcycled and recycled multiple times before being discarded, right? So really, yeah. So long answer, yes.
This is really interesting. Some of the styles look cool. We'd have, like you said, we have to see how it feels, see how it looks, wears,
Yeah,
smells. But the concept is very interesting, and I think it would appeal to a lot of people.
I agree. Yeah.
I had some other stuff here. I'm just trying to wait to see if there's any more questions. We talked about scalability. We talked about fashion. There's one startup doing it, so it's not going to be available to everybody quickly.
Yeah.
And even their examples are only for custom designers, so you can order, I guess, swaths of it, so you can incorporate like strips of it, like strips of leather, so you can make stuff. So this is kind of at a wholesale fashion textile level, not actually at a you can order jackets level.
Yeah.
When are we going to see that I can order a
Yeah.
jacket? Sorry.
Honestly, yeah. Again, yeah, I know the last one I said 1 to 2 years originally, but I think this one, obviously, if it's part of London Fashion Week, um, you've already got samples out there. They're already producing this. There's already testing being done. It's just a matter of scaling it up now. So, I, 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 I well, we're already seeing it on the runway. I don't know when we're going to see it actually in department stores. Are department stores still a thing? Are they still called department stores?
I guess so. They're mostly closing now, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah. Well, one big clothing store is filed for bankruptcy. H&M. They're a big. They were a big fashion brand for a while, all over. But
Did they talk about how long this stuff lasts? Like, if you buy a good leather jacket and
yeah,
you kind of take care of it, it'll last you your life.
yeah. I don't think they have those tests yet, or at least if they do, they haven't released them. Um, um, and because they were, when were they? Hold on. Uh, when was it founded? I think it was founded in 2021, and so that is, I don't think that's long enough for longevity testing yet, right? So, I think they still need to do more tests on that.
Yeah, and basically trying to move away from, petro based, people don't
Yeah,
understand how we're a petroleum based economy, and things like getting rid of the plastic bags had a negative impact that unforeseen on many areas, and they're talking
yeah,
about bringing them back in a biodegradable way.
yeah,
Do you see not necessarily this leather, but other things saying, all right, we need reusable bags or biodegradable bags or things that are environmentally friendly because we're going to use them every day? Can we pull stuff from the ocean to replace the
yeah. I think so.
Petro-based.
Yeah, based on some of the other examples that we were talking about, there definitely is. The problem is big oil has lots of um lobbyists. They have lots of money to kind of try to quiet this stuff and make and delay it
Well, I
and maybe
mean,
even buy out these
I
companies.
don't think they care. Like, you know, big oil does have a lot of money, but do they really care that someone's doing fake leather or going to make another form of plastic bag? Like,
I
if they're
think
going
so.
after their oil industry, they're more concerned about hydrogen potentially than whatever's going on here.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah,
I get it. I'm all for, you
yeah.
know, conspiracy theories about
Conspiracy.
big oil, but not around shrimp leather clothing and
Yeah,
plastic bags. But, you know, I said negative effects, we're going to jump to the next ones in a second, but
yeah.
negative effects, like when they removed the plastic bags, you know, that's when people started crapping all over the streets in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Uh, so it was just because they used to use the plastic bags, the homeless people
Mhm.
and whatnot. So they got rid of the porta potties and then they got rid
Yeah,
of the plastic bags. And now you Google San Francisco poo maps and you can see where to avoid where people are crapped on the streets. And like,
crazy.
okay, where that's what I'm saying. We have on these unforeseen circumstances. So as a society, we need something, but
Yeah,
it's nice to have something that doesn't have the environmental impact.
exactly.
So, next one, we've got an update on one of your favorite topics, hydrogen and room temperature storage. What's happening here?
Yeah, finally. So we talked about this before, but so there's this California startup called H2MOF. And what they've developed is an innovative technology to store hydrogen at room temperature without requiring high pressure or really cold temperatures or cryogenic cooling. So this company was founded by two scientists, including a Nobel laureate, and they're using AI and computer models to accelerate research on compressing hydrogen into a small volume for compact storage. So effective hydrogen storage is, you and I both have talked about this. It's one of the major challenges for enabling wider use of hydrogen as a green fuel. And US and other countries, even Canada. There was a webinar that I attended last week, 2 weeks ago, on hydrogen. They're investing billions into hydrogen R&D to support expanding capacity. But H2MOF, what they're aiming to do is launching a hydrogen storage technology in the next couple of years, which could be a game changer for transportation and industrial hydrogen applications. Um, so the thing is the current main methods for storing hydrogen is either as a compressed gas or liquid. And so there's challenges and inefficiencies with these approaches. So um, H2MOF is using a metal organic framework, or MOF, which are porous structures that can absorb and store hydrogen at room temperature and pressure. So, if successful, it could enable hydrogen fuel cell vehicles with longer ranges. Because right now, um, and we talked about this before, but for those of you that missed it, there are hydrogen cars out there. The cost right now to fill up a hydrogen car costs about $200 to $300, and it's closer to 200. But and you would think that for that amount of money, you'd get a ridiculous range, like with diesel cars, where you get more bang for your buck. But no, the range for hydrogen vehicles is around 300 miles right now. So um, that's why this is a potentially huge a huge advancement when it comes to the adoption of hydrogen, because we do want to replace fossil fuels. We do. Fossil fuels are pollute the air. They cost the environmental impacts, everything. There's so many bad things about it, where hydrogen has quite a low environmental impact. So yeah, really cool, really interesting tech. Yeah,
So I'm just have on the screen here. I just Googled hydrogen powered cars, and in Canada, we got the
all in
Toyota
BC.
And these are, you find your closest hydrogen fueling stations, but this is this is British Columbia and Quebec. I don't know how much there is in Ontario, so you can see there's not a lot.
No, there isn't. No.
So it's just to be concerned of, but there are out there.
Yeah.
I've
But
looked. Go ahead.
the other thing to take into consideration, and this is a step backward, but a lot of the big oil companies removed a lot of the hydrogen fueling pumps that they had, I think, in the US.
Yeah, they're like, look at here. Our tanks are designed not to leak. Our multi-patented carbon fiber wrap polymer lined hydrogen tanks are
Yeah.
designed in a 3-layer structure to absorb 5 times the crash energy of steel, because if that busts open, you're dead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a big boom. Think about well, it's not H-bomb style, but yeah, we're talking like H-bomb stands for hydrogen bomb. So hydrogen is used in bombs, and yeah, it's much more highly combustible as far as the way that it's stored than gasoline. But that's obviously they've got stronger tanks for that though.
Yeah, as we're talking, I'm just trying to see what the range is on a per tank, as you were saying, for this particular vehicle, just to as
What is that? Is that the Toyota?
this is, yeah, the Toyota.
Yeah, I think they were using the Toyota in an example, and this was cost was US. I think it was 200 and something US to for it, and the range was 300 miles. Does it say it anywhere?
As I'm looking for it as we're talking, I'll keep
Yeah,
colors, galaxy. These, a lot of these, the things you're looking for, they want to hide from you a lot of times.
yeah, I know. So yeah, let's just talk about this and why it's a big advancement, right?
Of course.
So higher energy store, like if they are able to successfully develop this, you get higher hydrogen storage density. So storing more hydrogen in a smaller, lighter weight package, which is critical for transportation applications. So these new materials and approaches that they're developing aim for densities 2 to 5 times higher than compressed H2 tanks. The other thing, and we kind of just touched on it briefly, is low pressure storage. So this new method allows hydrogen storage near ambient pressures, which improves safety, lowers energy needs for compression. And just to kind of put that into perspective, these tanks often use very high pressures that are over 700 bar. So again, in talking about room temperature storage, ammonia and some solid materials can absorb and store hydrogen at normal temperatures, which is going to help. So that eliminates the extremely cold temps that are usually needed around negative 253 degrees Celsius. So lower energy for storage, improved transportation, cost reduction, all of this stuff is helping to move this forward.
One of the big problems in hydrogen has always been, I don't want to call it leaks, because it's not leak, but I'm going to say seepage, that most pipes and whatnot can't, like, water condenses on the outside and we lose it. Are they getting better at containing it, which is part of the reason why you need to do it at a such a cold temperature?
Yeah, exactly.
So this room storage solution solves that leakage issue.
It must, because not only that, it's lower pressure, right? So lower pressure means lower pressure inside the tank, which means lower pressure pushing outwards.
So does this type of technology get us to hydrogen pipelines?
I'm not sure. I don't know enough about transporting hydrogen using pipelines to, or the math or the, which is great. Thank you. I'm gonna now look it up and read about it. I never even thought about that, but yeah, no, potentially, yeah. And the thing is, I don't know anything about oil pipelines either, so I'd have to do a dive into that. But yeah, thank you for that. That's gonna help me.
Well, I'm just curious, because we
Yeah.
have to have the distribution channels. That
Well, no, the thing is though, Craig, is you can create hydrogen through electrolysis.
My point being is, even if it's provincial, even if it's
Yeah,
whatever GTA, we need to be able to get these from. Great. Are you going to say we in Nunavut we're bringing trucks of these cylinders in, or we got a pipeline to send it out there? We got our own
yeah.
facility out there processing. Like, we're in Canada, we're big country, so how do we get this stuff? And
So
Yeah, and when you're talking about getting it from green hydrogen, which is they're investing a lot of money in
Mhm.
Africa to
Yeah,
with these wind farms and solars to build it and then ship it out. If
yeah.
there is potential for pipeline, they want to do that.
Oh, for sure. Where I think the future of hydrogen lies is it's in two technologies. It's the storage and the creation of it. So I think there's going to be less pipeline delivery and more localized production. That is just me though. That's what I think. But we have to and this comes on the heels of our last podcast about the SSH2 steel, the stainless steel to help to create that
When the
uh,
cost gets low enough,
hydrogen.
we're
Yeah,
gonna and the solar power gets good enough. I was talking to somebody out there. My vision is that we would all generally have the tiles on a roof that just look like tiles that are solar panels that
yeah,
power stuff, and that we have a hydrogen creator in our home that takes the excess power and does the electrolysis that fills our tanks overnight, kind of thing,
yeah.
to keep stuff going. 647-kilometer range, zero emission, 182 horsepower for this vehicle.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
but
uh,
we did talk about some other engines that actually produce much more horsepower. So
absolutely. We were just talking about this one.
yeah,
We have it on the screen and
yeah,
giving people an idea of what we're talking about. So we want to wrap it up there.
yeah.
This is very interesting. We're always going to stay on top of the hydrogen situation. So stay tuned for that. What do you have going on?
So next week, I don't know if I'm gonna get to it, but Danielle is actually she's the one who's putting this on. There's something at the DMZ for women. If I can, as I'm talking, I'll bring it up quickly. It is the Women Innovation Summit at the DMZ. They are waitlisting people now, but that's going to be really cool. I'm going to this Centurion One Capital 7 annual growth conference on that day as well. On the Friday, there's an International Women's Day with La French Tech. That's in Toronto at the Toronto Region Board of Trade. And I am just for those of you listening who are looking to expand outside of Canada, Can Export has opened as of February 29th, the very last day that they promised that they would open. If you're looking to expand outside of Canada, you want to go to trade shows, you've got at least $100,000 in declared revenue with CRA. You can get up to 50% of your costs covered up to $50,000.
Fantastic. Check out all the stuff we got going on at torontostarts.com for everything. It's usually a few days behind, but just because it's only me doing stuff, but most of our stuff gets up there. We do a lot of different shows, blog posts, in-person events. If you're struggling in your business, I help startups and small businesses get unstuck. Go to startupcoach.ca, book a call, and we'll chat about how I could help you. We talked earlier on about Startup Drinks TO, or our Startup Drinks event. Our next one is March 27th. It's a CIX after party. So if you're going to CIX, definitely come to our after party. Check out startupdrinksto.com. The tickets will be up there probably by the time you're seeing this. So thanks,
Perfect.
everyone, and we'll talk to you all soon. Have a great weekend.
Take care. Bye, guys.